So, the basics that I wanted to share today are the circle of health and boundaries. So, the circle of health is when you feel equal in value to your partner and you feel protected and vulnerable at the same time, or able to be vulnerable. A lot of times when I say you feel vulnerable, people hear that as I feel hurt or I feel tender, like I'm going, something bad is happening. But real vulnerability means I'm open to being close to my partner and I'm actually open to the possibility of being let down, and I will handle that as a grown up. So, already going off on a tangent, here we go. But you cannot feel connected from a one up or a one down position. If you are feeling better than or worse than your partner, that is not going to lead to connection for you. You will not feel supported and energized by that relationship. And so it's important, like if you close your eyes and you picture your partner, do you picture yourselves eye to eye? And I say that as someone who doesn't have a visual imagination, but whatever it is comes up for you when you imagine in your mind's eye being eye to eye with them. We are equal. Nobody is above or below anybody else. You cannot add or subtract the value of a human being. And so, especially in your partnership, it's very important to practice when you're thinking about them, whether you're thinking of them as above you or below you, and practice bringing it equal. The other one to practice is your boundaries, which we're going to talk about in a second, because if we don't have effective boundaries, we have to choose between walled off or being too porous and letting everything in. So much feels hurtful, so much feels like a stab in the heart. That's when we're too porous. When we're walled off, it's like, I don't care about this person. And so we may feel more safe, but we don't feel connected. And so the goal is to be protected and safe at the same time. And the way we do that is through having effective boundaries. So the way I teach boundaries is that there are three of them. There's your internal boundary, that you don't let whatever pops into your head come out of your mouth. I don't have perfect control over my facial expression, but I try to contain the childish parts of me and not let them out to people that I care about. I don't want to hurt anybody just because I'm having a childish reaction on the inside. And then there's the external boundary. I don't let other people's mess just come in. I filter it. So a lot of times I picture this internal and external boundary as a filter. What is allowed to pass through? And so it's just, let's slow things down and choose what we want to let out and what we want to let in. And if your partner says you're ugly and I don't love you, they're probably having a bad day because you probably didn't choose a long-term relationship with someone who's just a jerk. If you did, this does happen. But in general, a lot of times when our partners say something really hurtful, it's because they're having a really hard time and they're not using their containing boundary, and all this childish garbage is coming out. Now, when our children say things like that to us, most of us recognize they're having a hard time. They're trying to express themselves, but deep down, they don't really hate me. They don't really think I'm a bad mom or a bad father. They're just trying to express themselves, but we don't apply that same strategy with our partners. When our partner says something hurtful, we're like, no, this is what they really believe all the time. And they're just pretending to be nice all the rest of the time, which is not actually very realistic because that would be exhausting. So that external boundary allows us to be like, wow, they're having a hard time. What do I want to feel about this? How do I want to respond in a mature way? The more we practice this on really little stuff, anything your partner does that annoys you, on a regular basis, or anything that kind of just rubs you the wrong way, but you tend to let it go, practice letting it go for real. Like imagining that you have this armor or this gelatin or an orange peel or whatever type of thing you want to picture between you and the world. Sometimes I talk about like one-way glass, so that whatever is coming in hits that boundary, and then you decide whether you want to let it in or whether you don't. And if you don't let it in, you don't let it in. It's gone. It's not like I'm going to save this for later, and then when the last straw lands, then all of it is so hurtful all at once. We don't want to do that. We want to really leave it out, not just pretend to leave it out. And then your limits, we all have to have physical limits. If somebody is being verbally abusive or being dangerous, like, I'm not going to deal with that. If someone is just shouting and we really don't like shouting, it's like, okay, I'm going to take a 20-minute break and then I'm going to come back and check on you. And hopefully we can have a better conversation then. And so we set that limit of, I am not going to stick around for this. Or if you have a whiny sibling that calls and complains, be like, I'm going to listen to you for 15 minutes, and then we're either going to change the subject or I will hang up. A limit is always about what we will do to keep ourselves safe, and we can't control anybody else. So it's not like you have to stop whining after 15 minutes. It's if you don't, I'm going to hang up. And we do that with love. An effective limit is set with love. If there's a different safety situation, if someone's threatening you, that's not even a limit anymore. That's just like keeping yourself safe. So these are the primary skills. So how do you build these? Like I said, minute to minute, day by day, hour by hour, we have to look for opportunities to practice these skills and recognize that they take time. For most people I know, these skills were not modeled for them by their parents. They were not taught to them by their parents. And a lot of times they were not allowed by their parents. If you can imagine, in most households, a child saying, if you keep talking to me in that tone of voice, I'm going to go take a break in my room, they'd be in big trouble, most families that I know. So it's really challenging to build up these skills that, again, weren't modeled, taught, or allowed out of us as children. Now we have to parent ourselves and teach ourselves these skills so that the part of us that's immature can cope. And next month, I might talk about the adaptive child and the wise adult and how to get into that wise adult more, but it's kind of a different variation of explaining the same thing of being protected and safe, because you're a grown up. If your partner did decide that they don't love you and they don't think you're lovable, that's their mess. You are still just as lovable as you were before they made that decision. And that's what's important for us to internalize, so that deep down, they can't decide our worth, our value, our credibility, our, earning of respect, anything. That's not up to other people. So that if sometimes I love in Us by Terry Real, he talks about taking the little one who wants to yell back, who wants to respond to his wife and saying, you know what, you're going to make a mess of this. So I'm going to protect you from her and I'm going to protect her from you. You're too young, part of me, to deal with this relationship with my wife. And so we want to be that grown up that stands between our younger parts and things in the outside that feel like a threat. And over time, as we build up that muscle, some people visualize it really as that child feeling safe. Some people just visualize it as, I've trained my new response, my new like Pavlovian conditioning to, when this happens, here's how I respond. So whichever of those resonates with you best, that's how you can think of it. But it's a muscle that you build. In each situation, it takes, in my experience, between like 8 and 12 times. So like the first 5 times, you don't even remember you were going to behave differently until after the fact. And then that 6th time, you remember like immediately after. And the 7th time, you're thinking you're in the mess. You're doing the thing that you didn't want to do, but you're watching yourself do it, but it's a runaway train. And it's not until like the 9th, 10th, or 11th time when you're like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to choose something else. And so if you are trying to practice these skills and at first you're falling on your face, that's actually part of the process. Each time it will get closer and closer to the not too late so that you can stop and choose something else. So practice putting up that filter, not letting the entire outside world just in without permission, not letting your reactions out without permission, and seeing other people as equal to you. So that way, when you have all of that in place, you can be in that circle of health. You won't need to be porous. You won't need to be walled off, because you will have those boundaries that enable you to be safe and protected. And if you have any questions, I love working with people. And going the wrong way on my slide. The first session with me is free. I offer one-off sessions. If you just want a quick chat about one topic, we can get a lot done in that session. You can hire me for a package so that we can work on something more ongoing. I have a small group program if you'd like to get on the waiting list for that. And then I offer monthly webinars and I offer occasional workshops. So stay in touch and I'd love to share more with you.